Back in 2021, the Orlando Magic got sick of treading water with their core of Vucevic, Fournier, and Aaron Gordon. The franchise decided to hit the reset button and start tanking. They flipped Vucevic to the Bulls for Wendell Carter Jr. and a few picks, so overall a pretty big trade for them. But what wasn't a home run for the Magic was trading Aaron Gordon to the Nuggets for a few picks and Gary Harris, which made me the happiest man alive. By gutting their roster, Orlando bottomed out and had got great lottery odds, and they landed the 5th pick. And thanks to the Vuce trade earlier, they also had the 8th pick. They selected March Madness hero Jalen Suggs at number 5, and Franz Wagner, a wing from Germany, at 8. Their following year, their 22-60 record was enough to land them the number 1 pick in the 2022 draft, one of the best in a long time, so there was a number of directions to choose from. The Magic shocked pretty much everyone when they decided to select Paolo Banchero out of Duke 1st overall, over top prospects like Jabari Smith Jr. and Chet Holmgren. Paolo immediately became a 20-point per game scorer, and since Chet got his foot destroyed by LeBron, Paolo took home Rookie of the Year. The next season, Paolo would make the All-Star game and lead the Magic to their first competitive series since 2011. He went toe-to-toe with Donovan Mitchell, one of the biggest playoff risers of this generation. I mean, he still hasn't made a conference finals, but still, he rises a game to the playoffs. The best thing I saw from Paolo this series was that he was pretty much automatic from mid-range. Unfortunately though, the only reliable offense the Magic had were him, Franz, and Suggs, so the Cavs took home Game 7 after a really stinky Wagner game. But it was okay. It was a disappointing end to the season, but going into the next, I was incredibly high on the team. I was super impressed by their defense especially, and I thought the addition of KCP would open up the Magic's pretty disgusting spacing. And I was right. For a bit. Orlando opened the season 3-2, and Paolo was averaging 29 points after a star-cementing performance, dropping 50 points. But after a loss to the Bulls, Paolo tore his right oblique and would be sidelined for the next 3 months. It sucks missing the team's best player, but Franz wasn't going to let that team slip and put them on his back. From November 1st to December 6th, Franz was the hero of the team, averaging 26 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists to keep the team afloat. I've always been a Franz believer, so I was telling my friends about how good he is, and no one was really paying attention until he had his career game against the Lakers. 37 points, 6 rebounds, 11 assists, and a ridiculously clutch 15-point quarter, and the game winner to seal. Franz was on a roll and was probably going to make the All-Star team before tearing the same oblique as Paolo. Now, the 2 best players on the team, who were pretty much the only ones on the team that could create their own shot on the gross offense, were both out. So there were many yucky nights of Cole Anthony and Anthony Black first option hoops. And the injuries just kept piling up. Mo Wagner had a season-ending ACL tear, and their glue guy Jalen Suggs was forced to miss a bunch of time and eventually had to have season-ending surgery. Paolo and Franz eventually came back, and Paolo looked rough. He came back extremely jump shot heavy and afraid to get physical because of the injury. His shot diet was basically just tough mid-range shots, and Georgia's Niang fried him over it. That shit still kills me to this day, bro. But eventually, he got somewhat in rhythm and was able to do what he's best at, run at the rim and draw some fouls. Franz and him had some great games too, combined for 62 against Luka and the Lakers, and a game against the Pistons where Franz had legitimately one of the greatest fourth quarters I've ever seen. Eventually, off of the back of these performances, the Magic were able to make the play-in after this roller coaster of a season, basically just because of how weak the East was. After a rock fight against the Hawks, they made the playoffs and matched up against the defending champ Celtics, and the Magic got obliterated. I mean, it wasn't even close. This Boston Celtics team pretty much perfected modern basketball. They took what James Harden and the Rockets did and tripled it, literally. And not only were the Celtics pretty much modern NBA offense perfected, they were a great defensive team, and their defensive game plan was simple: sag off of Orlando's non-shooters and collapse the paint, forcing Paolo into ridiculously tough shots, and if he makes them, they'll live with it, because as long as no one else on the team is making shots, they're okay with it. And at the end of the day, basketball's a math game. 3 is always going to be more than 2. Franz mightily struggled in this series. The Celtics were practically begging him to shoot it every time he had the ball, and he shot it. He just missed it every time, shooting 7 for 37 for the entire series. It didn't help that Suggs, the team's best defender, was out the entire series too, leaving Tatum to get whatever he wanted. So the Magic got stomped out in 5. The front office didn't take this loss and get comfortable though. They knew exactly what they needed and were aggressive. During the NBA Finals, they made a massive trade and picked up a minimum top 5 shooter in the league in Desmond Bane for KCP, Cole Anthony, and 4 first-round picks. This was a ridiculously brilliant move for the team, and I think it raises the question of, should we really consider the Magic as contenders for next season? So let's talk about what the Magic need to make that jump. I think the entire team, no matter the spacing or whatever that's second, the most important thing in this team is the duo of Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. Everything this team does will live and die by these two. I've seen people try to claim that they're this elite top tier duo already, and as someone who likes to keep up with the Magic, I mean, they're not that. I'm not saying they can be, I'm just saying that I feel that whenever the Magic are hot, it's never the two working in tandem. It's either Paolo or Franz cooking individually, and I just need to see a lot more proven before I can claim they're one of the league's best duos over a J-Dub and Shea or Jamal and Jokic, for example. But that duo can only reach the upper echelon if they tweak their games to better suit each other. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Franz Wagner's three-point shooting is a problem. Like, I'm genuinely concerned because I mentioned this last year that his shooting was decent to start his career, but it had just gotten worse and worse, and I genuinely have no idea how. The mechanics just look broken. He's so clearly an all-NBA caliber player. He can get to the cup, he's an above-average playmaker, and he's legitimately a great defender. But his three-point shooting severely limits his team's offense and his game. Honestly, I think Franz is in the hot seat more than most people think. If he somehow goes ghost in another playoff series, I'm not sure if his future in Orlando is secure. So I'll be watching him closely and cheering for him. Paolo, on the other hand, I think his floor is extremely high, but his ceiling is just so unclear to me. He's easily one of the most polarizing players in the league today. Spreadsheet nerds fucking hate this guy's guts because his advanced stats are pretty ugly, but they also underrate him. But then the highlight watchers severely overrate him and try to push him as this top 15 player when he's just not. Yeah, he's already a good player, but the DeMar DeRozan shot diet just really worries me. He needs to focus on using that big body to get in the paint and drawing fouls because people literally cannot stop him. He's one of the biggest downhill threats in the league next to Giannis and Zion, and sometimes he just refuses to use that strength and just takes a million jump shots. And I'd be okay with it if he was a better off the dribble three-point shooter, but most of the time he's forcing these mid-range jump shots that he doesn't need to. It would be easier if he can just get to the cup. A lot of my worries though were somewhat taken care of because of that Boston series. I was extremely impressed by him getting bucket after bucket, even though he was pretty much the only one the team was focusing on guarding. Now that Drew Holiday is looking old and kind of washed, I think Suggs is probably the best on-ball defender in the league, maybe? Top 3 minimum though. He's easily one of the best glue guys in the league, and I feel like the Magic don't work nearly as well without him. But his health is a major concern for me. He's only played over 70 games once in his career, while much worse players than him in his draft class like Giddey have stayed pretty much consistent every year. And always with the Magic, it's about the three-point shooting. If Jalen Suggs can just rise his three-point percentage just a bit, this team will have just a good enough offense, I'll say, to be able to make a deep run in the playoffs. But that's why they got Desmond Bane. He's been one of the best shooters in the league for years. Whether it's off a handoff, a pin down, or a pull-up, Bane is a consistent threat and teams know that, so they'll finally respect someone's shot outside of literally just Paolo. So he'll be able to open up the floor for Paolo a lot more. And I can't wait for the two-man game between Bane and Paolo. I think Paolo's such an underrated passer, and I think he'll hit him with the perfect dimes. This move is such a ridiculous upgrade on the disaster that was Magic KCP. I'm not sure if he was just a Jokic merchant or he's washed, but upgrading to Bane is a slam dunk. Now they do lose a little bit of defense with KCP gone, but I feel like the brawler Desmond Bane is a pretty underrated defender. And with Halliburton and Dame out of next year's All-Star game, don't be surprised if Bane sneaks into one of their spots. Now this is the new established Magic Core 4, and they have a stupid amount of money invested into all 4, taking up a majority of the cap space. I like the addition of Tyus Jones to the bench unit, even if he is one of the worst defenders in the basketball, just to add even more little offensive juice in the non-Paolo or Franz minutes. And he can add a little bit more three-point shooting to the team, which they desperately need. For what it's worth, I think the Magic are close to contention. They've elevated from a cool playoff team to a legitimate threat, and already got the hard parts done. They found their star duo in Paolo and Franz. They found their glue guy in Jalen Suggs, and they picked up their final piece. The biggest question is the offense. Can Jamal Mosley find a way to optimize the spacing of the team to maximize Paolo and Franz? Will Jonathan Isaac ever play meaningful minutes of basketball ever again? Can Franz fix his jump shot, and can Suggs stay healthy? If these questions are answered, I'm certain the Magic are on the cusp of contention, because as everyone's basically been saying all summer, the East is so weak right now, anyone can make a run. And even if the Magic fail this year, in the conference finals or something, I think they'll be alright. Their two biggest problems in the East right now are the Cavs and Knicks, both stupidly expensive rosters who in a few years probably can't maintain their guys. So the Magic's time will come, even if they aren't there right now. They're right at the doorstep, and I think if the core clicks like I hope it will, I won't be surprised if the Magic start to run the East.
About me, I be scheming all year. Hit the scene, they start shouting, they be screaming all year. I keep peeking in my pouch just to see it's all there. If you believe and never doubt me, then you see no shoot me. Got me pound with an even called tear. You the swing, got your ass, but now we even call it fair.